Hello and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I'm your host, the Whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is Black Minds News. Black Minds News is to report, articulate, translate, communicate, insinuate, develop, investigate, unveil, decode, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, websites, or quotes from publications. As I articulate this information, I ask the creator of the universe, be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this place that we call the United States, we, the foundational black Americans, the black bloodline historical lineage, the historical people known as slaves, we who call ourselves BADOS, Black American Descendant of Slaves. Some say Black African Descendant of Slaves. Others say American Descendant of Slaves. We, the today's children, offspring, and present generation, we give honor to our ancestors. You know what the motto of my show is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. Today's date is October 11th, 2019. Welcome back at the one-day takeoff. Mr. Blows Your Mind is back in business for today. I have a couple stories that I want to relate. And again, some of them is just some follow-ups that we already had done. Those who are avid watchers, subscribers to the show, you done already heard. But then there's always the update. You know, news is reciprocal, right? It has the beginning, then it got to go through the process, and then it got to get it to the end, right? So we're going to go through a couple places. One probably in Oregon. Another place is going to be probably in Florida. And then there's going to be a couple other ones, maybe South Carolina as well. So, again, welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. And stay tuned for this broadcast. Hey, how's y'all doing? Again, I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome to a Black Minds News Report. Again, I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and want to welcome those subscribers first. What's good, fam? If you happen to be in the house seeing this live show, what's good to you? Appreciate each and every one of you for taking your time again. Tip my hat off to each and every one of you. Passerbys, if you happen to pass by, this is the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Been in the business for 7 years, had 2.94 thousand subscribers, but can't get past 50 views, right? Can't get past 50 views. You tell me if I ain't the most hated. Again, been in business since 2012. Do what I do. Used to get 250,000, over 250,000 views, 50,000, 30,000, you name it, we was getting it. And somehow, after doing the video that I did April 1st, 2014, it rubbed a lot of people a wrong way, and they've been after me ever since. So what they do is they slowly take away a subscriber to say, no one's listening to you. But there's other people do the same thing that I do. But what is it that I do that you don't want to hear? So anyway, passerbys go down the aisle. We always got a grand opening. See something down the aisle. See something you might like. If you see something to make you feel a certain kind of way, remember that the motto of the show is the truth don't need no partner. All right, so let's see. I got a couple people now. I want to make sure everything's copacetic and everything is working, right? So I got to make sure that's well, right? So looking good. So, okay, so we're going to start off with this here. Maybe did you hear, right? Did you hear about this? Well, you know, we did this story originally over here. Remember when I talked about the young man that had, missed jury duty, right? He missed jury duty. And again, as we talked about here, that's a civic duty. That is something that those who have the standing to become picked as a juror, it is something that is a civic duty. It's something that you should take some kind of honor in. So the young man, again, being 21 years old, against those who are a little bit older and those who are at that age, you know, when you're a little older, you look back in hindsight and say, well, you know, when I was at that age, I didn't take a lot of things serious, right? So maybe, again, as his excuse was kind of like, my dog ate my homework, right? The dog ate the homework and I was late because my dog ate my homework, right? So he said it was late, set alarm clock didn't go off. And due to the simple fact, he just kind of shied it off and go ahead and went to work, right? And so we did the story when I didn't see a lot of others do the story. And I was like, well, you know, I thought the way it was done, it just wasn't done right. So let me go ahead and to fill you in. So we see that he got some backing. Somebody in representation, the judge didn't recognize who he was affiliated with. So check this out. Let me show you this. First, let me give you, let me go ahead. I'm going to read it to you first, give you the article. I'm going to show you what happened originally, right? Well, first, how about this? We show you originally what happened. And then we'll come back after that. How about, that'd be better? All right, we'll do it that way. Check this out. Be right back.
This morning, DeAndre Somerville, a changed man after 10 days behind bars.
It just showed me that, you know, one small decision can really land you in here with people who made worse decisions.
The 21-year-old served his time last month after being held in criminal contempt of court, and that's not all. The judge sentenced him to 1 year of probation, 150 hours of community service, a fine, and ordered him to write a letter.
I end this letter with sincere apologies.
The apology after DeAndre says he overslept, missing his first day of a trial after being sworn in as a juror. In court Friday, Somerville read his letter, his lawyer making a plea to spare his criminal record. Afterwards, the 21-year-old responded to questions of whether 10 days in lockup was too harsh.
To a certain extent, but at the same time, I had to get punished. I should have came back.
The judge on Friday shedding some light on the initial punishment.
He was the only African American on the jury representing a cross-section of the community, and he decided on his own that it wasn't worth his time to come back.
Now, if Somerville completes 30 hours of community service and speaks to prospective jurors on the importance of jury duty, the judge will vacate his initial contempt order.
Hopefully this blip on your character will never be a stain on your life.
Somerville now has a message to others when it comes to jury duty.
Nobody's too cool for it. It's just something you got to do.
All right, so it says, as on your screen, it says the senator State senator asked for investigation into Judge Castaneda's after juror jail for 10 days. Daily News says Florida state senator wants white judge who sentenced black man to jail for missing jury duty taken off the bench. You know I'm going to say that again. Florida state senator wants white judge who sentenced black man to jail for missing jury duty taken off the bench. Again, this is coming out of the Daily News, October the 10th, 2019. This is how it reads. Florida state senator wants the judge who sentenced a black man to 10 days in jail for missing jury duty stripped of his judicial powers. Senator Bobby Powell blasted Palm Beach Judge John S. Castaneda for sentencing 21-year-old DeAndre Somerville to incarceration as well as probation, community service, and monetary fine after the college student, who has no criminal record, confessed he overslept, then failed to notify the court he would not be available to perform his civic duty. If he is not going to be fair as a judge, he does not need to be there, Powell wrote in a complaint filed to the Florida Judicial Committee Wednesday, according to the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Powell said he knows Somerville and his family for over a decade and has never seen the young man so much as raise his voice or be angry. He summarized Judge Castaneda's sentencing as excessive before sending Somerville to jail for blowing off his August 21st obligation to serve on a civil auto neglect or negligence case. Castaneda, who is white, said the black juror's absence was noteworthy, as he would have been representing a cross-section of the community on a jury with no other African American members. The case drew public attention, including a mention on The Daily Show, where host Trevor Noah joked, "You know racism is bad in America when a black man can get thrown in jail at someone else's trial." Okay, so here's a story here about DeAndre Somerville, as you seen originally in the video clip, that the young man had been picked, because originally when I did the story, I was kind of assuming, well, did he get picked? Well, he got picked, but somehow he was supposed to be there, and as you heard the young man said, he takes full responsibility and felt like, yeah, he should have been reprimanded. Okay? Shows the outstandingness of the young man. He didn't try to deny it, right? But we see that based on what had happened prior to this taking place, we just seen recently what happened in Florida with the Amber Geiger trial, and there's a lot of people who were kind of split as to what they seen, right? A lot of people seen that, again, there was some special attention done to somebody who had just been convicted. A judge go out their way, hugging, caressing, bringing out Bibles, people in the courtroom, stroking hair. And then we say, this is a murderer, right? Okay, we get somebody who was classified as a murderer, but can get that kind, again, discretion from the judicial bench to feel as if like, well, showing compassion. Now, here's a young man, 21 years old, college student, as it says, right? Has no criminal background, right? And yes, he might have chied off going to jury duty. Now, again, we're not trying to condone any of that. What we're saying is this. Now, when he did not, according to what originally the story was, that he said, well, we held up the court for an hour to 45 minutes waiting on him. Now, again, what they say here is this was a civil auto case. Now, a civil auto case is just basically about damages where a plaintiff is in negligence, is allegedly to be is recognized that he is some kind of form, either I think it's like physical injury or something to do with the person, property, and that he is negligence on it. So it's not like it's a murder case. It's kind of like, say for instance, you got a dog. You're walking your dog, knowing your dog, let's say, black people be having pit bulls, right? You got pit bull walking in the neighborhood, he vicious and everything. He get off and go bite somebody, right? Well, you're negligent because, again, you knew your dog is dangerous and he got away and he does, injury to another person. Now, that's your negligence. So you take him to court and this will be the proceeding. So it's kind of one of those type of case, okay? And so based on him missing, okay, he acknowledges, okay, yeah, I should be punished. But damn, 10 days in jail, 150 hours of community service. Write me a letter telling me why. I mean, you already gave me 10 days. I don't know what I need to tell you anymore. Gonna put a record on me, knowing I'm clean record. I had nothing. You're a judge. You don't get my folder in front of you before you. Right? So, okay. So, with that being said, and they're going to give 150 hours of community service. I mean, you throwing the book at somebody who, again, we're pretty sure, being in this country as ADOS, BADOS, we understand the judicial system. We say just us, right? And how the court system somehow deal with us different than it does with other people. One case of murder could be compassion is shown. And again, the family accept what it was happening, but again, it was 28 was on the table, but somehow got down to 10, right? So somehow, okay, the jury's was compassion, everybody's compassion in the court. But here's a young man between one-on-one with John Castanet, and he decides to say, you know what? Nah, man, I got to make sure you learn this lesson, right? So it said that, again, when I originally did the story too, I also said that it was excessive, right? I said, well, a little excessive. Don't you think that's excessive? Right? Anybody don't think that's excessive? That a young man does what he do? Or anybody in perhaps? I mean, isn't that what the judge is kind of a referee in a situation, right? Isn't it his job to, referee a situation and see where it fits, where he needs to, slam the hammer on you or to just go ahead and go all out. So now he was excessive. So when we say excessive, we have to look at it this way. So we got to say, all right, this young man in the case, we would say that it was immoderate, right? It was extravagant. It was lavish, right? Beyond all bounds. Really, it was devilish, right? When you think about it, right? It was devilish. Unreasonable, disproportionate, undue, inordinate, uncalled, unwarranted, unneeded, needless, unnecessary, exorbitant, extreme, too much, uncompassionable, outrageous, preposterous, monstrous, right? You get what I'm saying, right? It was excessive to throw that much on a situation that did not merit it. You did not merit that. But see, if we look in law, right? If you talk about, if you get your law book, and in the law book, it talk about excessive punishment. Now, this is what it says. It says, any sentence or fine which is not commemorated or commensurate with the gravity of the offense or the criminal record of the defendant, excessive punishment under the Eighth Amendment are those which their length or severity are greatly disproportionate to offense charged. Excessive length of a sentence may be cruel and unusual punishment within the meanings of the prohibition in the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution, right? So they say, hey, there's a such thing that it can be excessive punishment. Now we know this might be kind of, small, but again, when black folks go to court, again, that's why there was the divide when they looked at the court scene that happened in Dallas. Did I say Florida? I'm going to say Dallas. So I'll correct myself. It was Dallas, right? And so when we seen it, that's why those people were feeling like, wait a minute. Black folks go to court more than probably anybody else. I think the system makes a lot of money. All black people, again, putting boots on the car, writing kind of tickets, getting pulled over. You can have an air freshener in your car. They say they're obstructing your view. Got loud radio, all kinds of stuff that you can get yourself found your way up in the courtroom, right? So when we see court proceedings, we like, hey, wait a minute. That ain't the way when we in there. I sat and watched many people before I get my name called. So I done seen a lot of court cases or went with somebody and observed and so forth. We ain't never seen that before. But that what we've seen here in this case probably happens a lot more than none. And the reason why this is getting that kind of attention, because look who you see on your screen there, right? A state senator is getting involved, right? Because why? He personally has knowledge of him and his family. See, sometimes running up on the wrong person, you never know who you might run up on, and then they got some kind of, connections that can go to places that can actually get you. Because see, when you did what you did, you was thinking, okay, I'm going to do what I'm doing, and again, you just have to deal with it. But then it was kind of like those who understand or came up under that corporal punishment when you get that ass whooped once in a while from mom or dad. A lot of you might get that time out. That's why everybody out here running wild and crazy because they don't know what it feels like, right? So the jail system got to come in and try to lock you up. But anyway, if you get that, right? That time when sometimes, let's say, mom or dad done gave you that ass whooping and they was already dealing with some shit, so they was a little excessive in it. They knew when they was doing it was a little bit too much. They said, you doing a little too much. And so what them happen is they come back later on, got a bowl of ice cream. You want to go do this with me? Kind of soften up about what happened. But that's what John Castanet did. He knew he was too excessive of what he did, and then he tried to come back with it. Because matter of fact, did I say that he gave a 1 year probation? He gave that boy 1 year probation. He black. He black, walking down the damn street where he live at, even though it looks like he come from some people that don't live in the general areas of where, let's say what patrolling police officers are more predominant at. But the thing is, he wears the skin, and he could be anywhere and somebody see him, and then it could be, but he got a whole year. He got to walk around just in case that should happen, right? He was in a courtroom and the situation happened to him, right? But you gave him a year probation after 10 days and put a mark on his record, right? Then you come back and say, well, you know what? All right, I think I was a little excessive with it. What I'm going to do is everything else is going to stand. You're going to pay the court fee, $223, and you're going to still do the 150 hours of community service. We already did the 10 days in jail, so we're not going to take that back. So what we got? And then you're going to get, instead of getting a year probation, how about we're going to do 3 months? How about that? 90 days, is that good? 90 days still is too much if you think about it, right? 90 days still is a lot, right? So that's what happened, right? So you get that whole night and say, damn, wait a minute. Damn, okay. So you think that's bringing a bowl of ice cream. You want to go with me now, right? Get down probation, and now I'm going to come back and vacate off your record. Which should have been on there in the first damn place. You get what I'm saying? That shouldn't even been there. But how is it that you didn't understand it? So what happens is this individual here, Mr. Powell, decides that he's going to get there and say, you know what, I'm going to file a complaint. He's going to file a complaint with who? He's going to file, it's the Florida Judicial Committee. And that, again, it says he's blasting this judge for singling out this young man based on the simple fact that, again, the proceeding that was taking place, it was easy to recognize that DeAndre Somerville was absent because he probably was the only blackface as a juror. So it was recognizable, the fact that, wait a minute, how's he even in here? Then when you don't show up, it's like, oh, where's he at? Right? You get what I'm saying? And so you see Frederica Wilson. She also said it's outrageous abuse of power. She also calling for him to resign. Right? She's like, hey man, you need to get yourself up out of here with that, because again, like I say, some of you, they just, abuse of power, and we see this a lot amongst black folks, right? You see that a lot of times where people just abusing the power is like anything. They say, give a person an inch, they'll take a foot, right? Right? Say power corrupts, absolutely, right? So, sometimes some people, again, they're trying to do good, but then sometimes they got a bad heart. Or it could be the hidden thing, which is the racism behind it. And so we see that because this young man, outstanding family, so forth, had some connections, got it to some place that could get things moved. And so now it's become the attention that say, we want you to resign, right? And I think this was pissing off a lot of people because they say, hey, black people are asking too much, they demanded too much. No, we're talking about what the marquee on the sign says. Says, what does the marquee say? We want what it says. It's like coming into a restaurant, looking at the menu, and you saying, I want to order that. You want what's on the menu. See, it's like we got a menu in the back. No, that's not the menu for you. Your menu is in the back. Oh, that's not what it said. It said right there I could get that. No, that's not the menu for you. So black people tell us, no, I want the menu that's in the front. We want what it says right there, right? And so we'll see how this turns out later. Again, you know how news is. It's reciprocal, right? It's going to start off here, go there, come back, and then it's going to have an end. So we have to congratulate this young man here, the state senator, Mr. Powell, for go out there and say, hey, you know what? It's not right what you did to that young man. You made that young man go in there for 10 days. That young man came straight out and said, I ain't built to be up in there. Right? Right? You know what I'm saying? And what if something had happened? Damn, like something couldn't have happened to him in 10 days, right? Then would all this come back and label, it was a mistake. But he did. He dead now. So we're going to talk about the mistake. No. So do what y'all got to do with those who got the connection powers. And as the story goes, it will develop and we see what happens, right? So again, that's what that happened. That's how it goes, right? Now, again, I got that call number up there. No, nobody going to call in. I'm scared of this show here, right? If there ain't an agent sitting up in here, right? So anyway. Let's go on. I don't know, can it be heard or if I'm not on? Well, it's one of the two, right? All right, so let me go on to my next story there, right? So that's what that is. That's what happened there. Again, that's just a recap that the, young man, right? So now I got this other story for you, right? This other story is one I did originally too, going back. And, when we looking at this situation, we got to say that, okay, it happened a year ago. It was going through this whole situation about staying your ground. Florida always got some stuff going on. I think I originally talked about that was Florida, but it should have been, that was not Florida, right? Or was that in Florida? Well, maybe it was in Florida. Okay. So anyway, but stand their ground was going down, right? And everybody, we had several cases where people was using stand their ground and being exonerated, and it was kind of questionable. But this particular one that happened, when it originally happened, well, let me do it this way first. Let me go ahead and show you this, right? And then I'll come back right after that. How about I do that? Let's do this and come right back.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning Saturday. We begin this half hour with one piece of video, but people see two very different things. A man seen shooting and killing a young father will not be charged because of Florida's Stand Your Ground law. The law allows someone to use deadly force if they fear they'll be killed or badly injured without requiring them to try to escape. The case is again fueling a debate over that law. On Friday, 4 U.S. senators called on the Department of Justice to investigate. Meg Oliver reports.
I was kissing on him, trying to bring him back, but it was too late.
Last week, Brittany Jacobs' boyfriend of 9 years, Marquise McLaughlin, was shot and killed in front of her. The couple had parked in this handicapped spot. McLaughlin walked inside with their 5-year-old son. That's when 48-year-old Michael Draka approached their car.
Yeah, he's yelling at me, telling me, I need to move my car and all this.
He was swearing at you.
Yes.
McLaughlin returned and forcefully shoved Draka to the ground. McLaughlin backed up, but within 4 seconds, Draka pulled a gun and shot him. McLaughlin stumbled into the store and collapsed in front of his son. 1 day later, the sheriff's department announced Draka was protected under Florida's Stand Your Ground law and would not be charged.
We will not continue to let this epidemic of being able to confront and kill unarmed black people and then say, I was just standing my ground. It was just self-defense.
Draka reportedly has a history of harassing people at the store for parking in handicapped spots. Just 2 months ago, Richard Kelly says Draka targeted him, spewing racial epithets.
He went to his truck. He said, I'll just shoot you then. So I was standing back right here. I told him, I said, if you're going to shoot, shoot.
Jacobs is still trying to comprehend how her children lost their father during a trip to the store.
All I can say and tell him is, that he's going to heaven, That's all I pretty much could say.
For CBS This Morning Saturday, Meg Oliver, Clearwater, Florida.
All right, so it says, Florida man convicted of manslaughter in a dispute over parking spot sentenced to 20 years in prison. You know I'm going to say that again. Florida man convicted of manslaughter in dispute over parking spot sentenced to 20 years in jail. This story is coming out of CNN. Day's date is October the 10th, 2019, and this is how it reads. Clearwater, Florida. A Florida man was sentenced Thursday to 20 years in prison for killing an unarmed black man who shoved him in a parking lot dispute. The slain man's family embraced the sentence, saying they feel they received a measure of justice. The victim's lawyer says Michael Durjek's punishment is a significant victory against what they say is repeated abuse of Florida's controversial stand your ground self-defense law. Jedrick was convicted of manslaughter in August after shooting and killing Marquise McLaughlin in July 2018 outside a convenience store in Clearwater, Florida. At trial, his lawyer had tried unsuccessfully to use elements of Florida's stand your ground law as a defense for justifiable homicide. Now I can go home and tell my children that the killers didn't get away with murder of their daddy, Brittany Jacobs, McLaughlin's girlfriend and mother of his 4 children, told reporters after the sentencing. I know Marquise is up there in heaven smiling because we did get justice for him. Prosecutors had asked for 30 years, the maximum sentence, and McLaughlin's relatives asked for the same during a hearing Thursday morning before Judge Joseph Ballone in a Clearwater court. McLaughlin's father, Michael McLaughlin, told reporters he'll accept the sentence, but paraphrasing what he told the judge, he said he's not ready to forgive Durjek for killing his only son. I know in the Bible it talks about you got to forgive those who trespass against you, but at this point in my life, I'm not there yet, Michael McLaughlin said. And if the Lord just so happens to choose to take me before I get to that point, I guess me and Michael Durjek will have to finish that in hell. The shooting. The incident began when Jacob McLaughlin's girlfriend parked in a handicap accessible space at the Circle, a food store in Clearwater, on July 19, 2018, with McLaughlin and their children in the car, authorities said. After McLaughlin and their 5-year-old son went inside the store, Jedrick, then 47, got into an argument with Jacobs over the spot. McLaughlin left the store, walked over, and pushed Durgic. Surveillance footage showed Durgic on the ground, pulling out a gun and shooting McLaughlin as he started to move away. Durgic, who has a concealed weapons license, argued that he saw McLaughlin moving towards him and thought McLaughlin was going to kick and beat him. If he was going to hit me that hard to begin with, a blind side from the get-go, what else should I expect, Durgic said in his police interview. Police questioned him several times on the discrepancy between the video and his statement that McLaughlin took steps towards him. I shoot to save my own ass, and that's that, Durgic said in his police interview. At trial, prosecutors argued Durgic was a parking lot vigilante who acted illegally. The defense portrayed him as a man who acted legally out of fear for his life. Case brought renewed attention to Stand Your Ground law. McLaughlin's death brought renewed scrutiny to Florida's Stand Your Ground law, in part because the county sheriff initially declined to arrest Durgic, saying that law appeared to give him immunity from prosecution. The Stand Your Ground law says that a person has no duty to retreat and has the right to use deadly force if he reasonably believes that doing so will prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. But the law also states that Stand Your Ground does not apply to a person who initially provokes the use of force against himself, unless he has exhausted every reasonable means to escape such danger. A month after McLaughlin's death, a state attorney charged Durgic with manslaughter, dismissing the Stand Your Ground immunity argument. Ultimately, Durgic's attorney did not pursue a pre-trial hearing to gain immunity, but instead argued at trial the shooting still was justified on the state's Stand Your Ground self-defense allowances, with a defense attorney specifically telling the jury that Durgic had no duty to retreat. Civil rights attorney, this shows equal justice is possible for black and brown people too. The McLaughlin family attorney, including civil rights lawyer Benjamin Crump, said Thursday sentencing was a watershed moment against the abuse of Florida's self-defense law. This case showed that equal justice under the law is possible in America for black and brown people too, Crump told reporters. When African Americans are killed by police, these lawyers get a phone call. He has frequently compared this case to another high profile, that of Trayvon Martin, the 17-year-old killed by George Zimmerman in Florida in February 2012. In that case, Zimmerman confronted Martin in the neighborhood in Sanford and then fatally shot him in what is said was self-defense. Crump represented the Martin's family. Zimmerman ultimately waived his right to a Stand Your Ground pre-trial immunity hearing, and his attorney instead argued to a jury that he acted in self-defense. The jury found Zimmerman not guilty of second-degree murder. Crump said he hopes Durgic's conviction and sentence will be one of the stepping stones to persuade lawmakers to amend or repeal Stand Your Ground. Defense attorney said he plans to appeal. At Thursday's sentencing, Durgic's attorney, John Trevina, asked the judge to give his client only house arrest, arguing that the shooting wasn't premeditated and that McLaughlin was an aggressor. Afterward, he's told reporters Durgic actually expected to get the full 30 years just based on all the public pressure. We are pleased the judge did not do that. Still, Trevina said, we believe Durgic's actions were totally justified and that we will prevail on appeal. Besides the prison term, the judge ordered Durgic to pay $5,000 in restitution to Jacob. All right, so that's the story there. What happened to the 20 years originally when they did this story, and I did this story when it first broke, is that Durgic they allowed him to go home. Remember, they had a conversation with him, and the police had said he was justified, right? And that brought out a lot of, animosity because, again, Trayvon Martin had been the catalyst for this Stand Your Ground. A lot of that became a common knowledge amongst people at that time because they heard that term being used. And so based on this being Florida, it was here once again in other stories we had seen where individuals, Mike Brown and so forth, were getting killed, and we were like, okay, what this all about? As you heard, Benjamin Crump, who again, a lot of people got their issues, because again, if he got to win, again, I see him being the family attorney, but I don't see him being the one in the court doing the case. You understand? But anyway, do he get the win on this one? Because other than that, I ain't never seen him win the case. But anyway, so he said it's an epidemic, right? Crump said, well, it's an epidemic on out here. Well, some of us would have had agreed that it was like, people seem like, oh, you stand your ground and get one off. Like DJ said, well, he was coming towards me. And yet, clearly what you see in the video, my man never went to him. He did what he had to do, because, I mean, what man, again, you accosting my wife? Right now, they say girlfriend got 4 kids together. Again, depending on what state it is, where they recognize or not. But again, when you've been with somebody a long period of time, a certificate don't really consummate to me marriage. It's about how two people feel about each other. That's just me talking, right? But again, law in me. But again, that has something to do with paper anyway. But anyway, so we're going to say you went up on his wife like that. And again, there was the individual that was in the video who said, hey, that motherfucker came up on me, did the same bullshit too. You know what I'm saying? Told me he going to go back to the truck and shoot me. And I was like, well, shoot me. Well, guess what, bro? You got lucky, because he is motherfucking trying to do that shit. He been doing it. So again, according to what I had remember reading, was that he used to surveillance the parking lot because he lived close by where he could see. And every time he see somebody parking the handicap, he had an issue, right? He had a problem with that. So he was calling himself, he was Charles Bronson, the vigilante of parking space and shit, right? He see your ass go over there, he gonna come over there and he gonna coast you. Now again, somebody sitting in there again, we can understand it. Now if you happen to be the person who needs a spot and this applies to you and you in your vehicle, then yes, you can accost them and say, excuse me, I would like to have this, there's again, proper way, just like picking up Peggy I did yesterday, in the way she's like, get on your knees and pick up that paper, get on your knees, right? Hell no, you ain't gonna talk to nobody like that and they gonna respect you. Right? Nobody. I mean, you can get your dog and train him to do that, but even after a while, he might even get to the point he fed up with it too, right? So anyway, he come across the wife. She got the kids in there. Now he don't want to store one of the little ones, and they, but again, obviously he's paying attention, and he see what's going on. He go out there and he shoved you to the ground. He didn't hit you. He shoved you down, right? And you immediately. See, he had the itch for the scratch, right? And pow, shot my man across in the chest, man, ended up bleeding out, dying, so forth, right? Right in front of his kids. So, Shorty gonna have some, you know what I'm saying? Back at that time, by the time you get out, it's gonna be just right old enough for him. He gonna see you. But anyway, so, like I said, really, they let him go. Stand your ground. So everybody got upset about that, right? Because again, it was just too many cases. So we see they end up after the uproar, and again, the public pressure, social media, shows like Black Minds News and so forth, even though, again, I'm the most suppressed, showing the black corner on the internet, YouTube and the internet. No matter where I go, they suppress me. I wonder why that is. Anybody can tell me why that is? Anyway, I don't do nothing but do what relate what's already common knowledge, right? This is not common knowledge. So what is it? Oh, it's just maybe just the way I say it, right? Okay, whatever. But anyway, so we see that this individual end up getting this Michael Digit, becomes 20 years, right? Kill a man, but he's saying he want to stand his ground, right? He's saying, no, what happened was that. So, okay, let's look at this. Now, this is what it says about staying your ground, right? It's kind of, because again, the reason why I say that, because again, there's a part in this stand your ground that they say, that it's like they try to use that in Dallas. So let me give you a little information on that, right? Now, stand your ground law, sometimes they call it the line in the sand. They back in the old school days, somebody take their foot and the sand, cross it in front of, I dare you to cross the line, right? Or baddest one hit my hand or knock that off my shoulder. Yeah, we don't know where that came from, but right? But that was implemented at times, right? Or it's called no duty to retreat law. No duty to retreat. I don't have to move. You move me and then I have the right. So anyway, establishes a right by which a person may defend oneself or others against threat or perceived threat. See, that's the word, perceived threat, right? your perception of how you observe the situation. Now, again, this one said his perception of what he perceived the threat was that he moved forward. But going to the video, the all-seeing eye did not collaborate with that, right? So even to the point of applying lethal force, regardless of whether safety retreating from the situation might have been possible. So you mean to tell me, stand your ground, if there's a possibility that you can de-escalate the situation by getting yourself out of harm's way, right? That you don't really have to. Right? But they say, fornicate, flee, and fight, right? The 4 F's, there's another one somewhere, right? So you can flight would be part of survival. But they say, nah, just stand there. Now, I get what they mean in that situation. But I'm just saying, in this situation, he got shoved down. But something should have been like, okay, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you're in a situation like that, right? And again, you this Charles Bronson vigilante parking lot cat. Somebody come and shoved you down. Okay. But obviously he don't have enough cognites, right? His faculties ain't all in the right. So what happens is he can't rationale to realize, yeah, I mean, I ain't got no car. I ain't trying to park, but I just got a problem with people who do that. See, this self-deputizing thing that some people just think, dun, 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 hey, he's littering. Hey, you, get on your knees. You're in the parking lot. Would you get out of there? Wait a minute. See, there's some sickness going on here. And so this self-aggrandizement of just trying to self-deputize oneself to intervene in situations, that's what we getting all this wild black situation, right? That's what matter of fact, it was a little season for a minute where everything was wild black, right? Matter of fact, we got a story about wild black, right? A jury in wild black, right? You still get 10 days, 150 years, right? All kinds of situations, right? So you don't have to retreat. All right, so you don't have to move. All right, fine. We'll move on that. It says that they may use a level of force if they reasonably believe that the threat rises to the level of being an imminent and immediate threat of serious bodily harm or death. Now, somebody come and shoved you with such force, like watching an NFL game, you see him getting shoved down, try to block him up so it can't get to my halfback, right? They get back up. Ain't nothing broke unless you fall a certain kind of way. But again, you were surprised because why? You didn't expect that. But again, you should have rationalized in your mind. She here with somebody. If you seen that, you seen a woman with children and you thought that was that was a soft target. You didn't know my man was up in the store. Oh, maybe that's what that was. All right, maybe but again, the dude in the video said that he came and accosted him too. So I guess it don't matter. He doing any, mini, miny, mo, right? Any, mini, miny, mo. Take the history of that, and being on this show, you know what that is. Any, mini, miny, mo, right? Take any one of them, right? So maybe that had nothing to do with it. So the fact is that he felt that, okay, after you shoved me, I'm in imminent death, high bodily to be injured. Man, no, man, it's just a shove, man, right? But it's just like you had an itch for the scratch. You wanted to do it. Now, again, they use this too. Now, I'm going to pass this up. Because also, did you not know in the stand your ground is the castle doctrine? I'm going to say that again. The castle doctrine. When did we just hear about the castle doctrine? Was that in Dallas? I think that was in Dallas. Now, the castle doctrine is a common law doctrine stating that persons have no duty to retreat in their home or castle. Now, I'm going to say that again. How does somebody put that on the table? But I'll say it again. The castle doctrine is a common law doctrine stating that persons have no duty to retreat in their home or castles and may use reasonable force, including deadly force, to defend their property, persons, or another outside of the abode. However, a person has a duty to retreat. Okay. If possible, before using deadly force, castle doctrine and stand your ground laws are acceptable defenses for people who have been charged with criminal homicide. So, So maybe that's what I think Miss Tammy was trying to say. I threw that in there so that you can't say we didn't give you the opportunity to use that, or this was part on the table, so you can't come back on the appeal and try to, oh, maybe not, right? Because some people took that as she was trying to throw an alley-oop, trying to get, throw a softball pitch, right? Here's trying to get out of the car, you get out, right? So anyway. And it says that common law self-defense claims are not valid if defendant could have safely retreated from danger. Right? Now again, so that means that there's a conflict inside of stand your ground. Because it said you don't have to retreat. But it said that common law self-defense claims are not valid if the defendant could have safely retreated from danger. Right? So, yeah, they're going to have to go back and tweak that stand your ground because, again, even though, what good is a damn law if you in a situation you end up becoming dead with that? What good is that shit after the fact? That may be good for the family and they go get some money, but you ain't breathing no more. Again, all we know is life. Again, you ever seen the movie Enter the Dragon? Remember when Mr. Han, when he told Jim Kelly, he said, we are Osborn to know life. You must prepare for death. And when Jim Kelly said, when it comes, I won't be around. Oh, yeah? I'll be too busy looking good. You remember that when he told that shit, right? So, again, that's what it is, right? So, okay, anyway, moving on, man. You gotta play what was one. Okay. And so, to the duty, it says, is to retreat a legal requirement is some jurisdictions that threatens person that cannot stand one's ground and apply lethal force in self-defense, but must retreat to a place of safety. Instead, deadly force or lethal force is force with the intent of serious bodily injury or death to another person. In most jurisdictions, it is only accepted under conditions of extreme necessity and last resort. Now, in this case, that Michael Drejik, that was none of that. None of that. So if I can sit there and read that, you can hear me say that. How did those police say, yep, stand your ground, go home. Just go home, buddy, don't worry about it. Tell us George Zimmerman, right? Same thing with George. Think about George Zimmerman did the same thing, right? With the Trayvon Martin, right? He following somebody, right? Again, it's already done and over, but something in that Florida, man, some of that water in Florida. But anyway, he following a young man for minutes. Then he on the phone with Rachel Gentile, and everybody tripping and laughing because they said, this creepy cracker was following me, right? Everybody, she's that creepy cracker, right? Well, think about it. If you walking, back in the old school days, scary movies ain't like how scary movies is today. Scary movies be somebody walking and either a car, in the 70s, you walking, you see somebody's feet walking, and then you see the lights of a car, and it's slowly driving up, and then you start the person, they do it for a little bit, then the person that's walking start walking fast, and the car start moving fast, right? That's the way it used to be, right? Because you say, hey, this car trailing me. Why this car trailing me like that, right? Yeah, that's the way it used to be in the 70s, right? So in this case, you trailing somebody who don't know you from Adam. Now you saying your position is what they want to say? What do you call yourself? Neighborhood watch. Yeah, I'm neighborhood watch. Now to this person who don't know that that's who you are, because it's not like you in a marked car. You're just somebody who driving under some club y'all done put together that you've been honorated there. But again, what signia, you know what I'm saying, in your car, there's some lights or something, none of that. You just driving in your regular old car and you trying to somebody. Now again, that night is dark, it's raining, right? He got a hood on, right? He minding his own business. Now again, what everybody did is they took away the part that's about from Trayvon's point. Nobody looked at it from his point. I'm going to say it from his point. He walking, you don't know who that is in the damn car. Why is this person ain't supposed to be strange to you? You don't know them. Not just because you in your car and you doing what you doing and you think he's strange, but what about the position from his? Ain't he thinking you strange? So he takes off and you get out the car. They never want to say he got out that damn car twice. Now go watch my video. I'm the only one who broke down the missing 3 minutes that they say that he could have got home. He got out the vehicle. You hear the light, you hear the door jar, ding, 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 come on. And then the operator tell him, did you get out? Are you following him? You don't need to follow him. What you think he was doing when he said that? He had got out the car. You heard the door jar. He got back in the car, got back, parked in front of that house, and went through that driveway. Caught up to him. Now, he is walking, you coming up on him. He ain't supposed to defend himself. He ain't standing his ground. No, that ain't what it's about, is it? You as a black person, you don't get stand your ground. Now you become the victim because he whooping your ass. Now you're the victim. But you was up on him. And then you kill him and you get to walk and sit. See? All this shit. See, this law shit is, it sound good writing it down in this thing. But in application and when he lay it out and looking, then people be getting exonerated for shit they ass on. Then you have to be like, what's this shit, man? See, that shit didn't make no damn sense. Because how was he the victim and how he flipped the whole game. All his Skittles and smoke weed. And what does that have to do with the situation of the night? Nothing. Not a god. Nothing. You understand? So anyway, my man get 20 years, right? They just say, well, Amber Geiger, the judge said, well, Amber Geiger is not supposed to be the sin for every time. Well, you know what? Like I said the other day, Jesus is. A lot of motherfuckers going to have to be some Jesus. Going to have to be sacrificed for a lot of stuff that people been getting away. You going to have to be the bear. When the finally hammer come down on, you going to have to carry it. Because it's been too much been getting away with too much. So 20 years, family said, we okay with it. We cool with it. It don't really do, it don't, you know what I'm saying? We have to accept it. Because, again, look what the father said. The father said some real shit. He said some real shit. Now, I'm going to say it like it is. Father said, hey, we was asking for more, right? Matter of fact, I ain't even at the level of forgiving. I ain't forgiving him. He killed my only son, right? And they said, I know what the Bible says. I know what the Bible says, but I'm not there yet. But he said, check this out. He said, well, this is how I'm holding like this. He said, but if I should have to, if I die before I wake, if I die before I get to that level and I be judged and I have to say you can't get in, he said, well, then me and Michael gonna have to deal with this when we get in hell. Did you hear him say, did you hear me not read that? He said, well, me and him gonna deal with that when we get to hell. If that be what it said is, and I ain't that, and the guy said, well, your heart wasn't right because you couldn't forgive him. He said, all right, well, that's cool, because I'm going to see this motherfucker. When we get to hell, we're going to deal with this shit then. See, different than when we see the other family, right, that come in the courtroom, hugging, caressing, all that good stuff, right? Different, right? Different family. I think this is ADOS. This one here is something little else. Right? There might be something else. No knock on it, but it is what it is. So, it is what it is. DJ gets 20 years. Gonna go try to do appeal on it. And, matter of fact, he said, can you give him house arrest? I thought about that in the Dallas case too. So I'm like, why you on appeal? Can you get out of jail while you waiting on appeal? Or they already sent it? Because again, we heard somebody went to jail, but we ain't seen nobody, right? We ain't seen nobody on the Grey Goose in shackles, in the suit, and going in the building. We ain't seen that. We just heard that that's what somebody is. And again, that is the story there. Take what it is. You tell me what you think, so forth, and all that good stuff. But that is just a recap on that, right? That's just a recap. Now, the phone line is always on, 262-922-8755. If you should just happen, you want to call in and say something or disagree with what I said or want to add on to it, always open. Again, this is the most hated show, Black Corner of YouTube. Let me look and see if I got somebody out here. Let me see if I got one person still up in here. I got one person here. Now, again, I don't know if you fam in here, maybe you might just be agent up in here. But anyway, welcome anyway while you sitting up in here. So I got another story in here for you, right? Check this out. All right, so let's see what else I got up in here. About this one here, right? I did this story too originally too, right? I did this story too when it originally broke out. And again, it's one of those situations, right? It's like, all right, You know, as black people in this country and in the history we've been in, it's like, well, people think that we cry when we talk about racism, when, again, the game, we're just playing the game that the game has already been orchestrated and designed before we even got here on this planet. Now, are there people in the process thinking that they're trying to dissipate and change? Yeah, but change is too slow. We talk about 1619 and now it's 400 years and we still acting just like we shit with 1930s and 40s and 50s, right? Right? Still acting like that to this day. So they say justice is slow, right? Justice denied is justice, or justice delayed is justice denied, right? And that's what's been happening here, right? So once in a while, when we see this situation, it's incumbent on shows like this, Black Minds News, do what we do as to bring awareness to those so that they know what's going on. So here, this story was up in Oregon, right? It had broke originally, been about almost a year, 9 months ago. And let me refresh your memory. I'm going to give you the video right quick and we shall be right back.
Two employees accused of racial profiling at a Hilton Doubletree hotel in Oregon are on leave this morning. The hotel apologized a second time to Jermaine Massey. In a widely shared Instagram video and several other videos, he claimed he was targeted for, quote, calling his mother while black. DeMarco Morgan shows us how this is the latest incident of police being called on African Americans who are doing seemingly ordinary things.
It's another talker this morning, guys. Good morning to everyone. Jermaine Massey was returning from a concert Saturday night when he said he went to a quiet corner of the hotel lobby to take a phone call from his mother. When a security officer, now dubbed Hotel Earl by the internet, approached him, things got heated.
You really want this PR issue, Earl? Do you?
Jermaine Massey was ordered to pack his bags and leave the Doubletree Hotel in Portland, Oregon, hours after he checked in.
The situation around
The 71-year-old security guard, Earl Wesley Myers, had asked Massey for his room number. Massey said he didn't remember it and requested privacy for his phone call. Instead, Myers called for the police.
Why are they coming?
Escort you off the property.
Because what? And I'm staying here?
Not anymore.
He even went so far to say that he's there to protect the safety of the guests, as if I weren't a guest and I was causing a disturbance and I was a safety threat.
Massey says white guests in the lobby were not similarly questioned.
They're not loitering.
How am I loitering in an area that's public?
You're sitting here.
So this area is off limits after a certain time?
Only if you're a guest.
I am a guest.
You didn't tell me that.
I just checked in with my American Express.
And Massey produced his room key for a manager.
He wouldn't ask me to call 911 without any cost.
I didn't do anything to this man.
Okay.
I'm taking a phone call.
But responding officers warned Massey he could be arrested for trespassing if he stayed.
That I need to leave.
Of the property, yes.
According to the police report, the 34-year-old who said he was a former FBI agent became loud and started yelling that the hotel was racist.
You know, judging someone based off of the color of their skin, you never know how it feels until you've actually been there. I could have went to jail had I responded a different way.
In the past year, police have been called on a group of black people barbecuing.
It's illegal to have a charcoal grill in the park here.
A girl selling bottled water on the sidewalk.
Illegally selling water without a permit?
And Bob Marley's granddaughter after she and her friends left their Airbnb.
Yeah, we're standing here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers here. Yeah.
Massey checked into a different hotel Saturday after he was kicked out without a refund. On Thursday, the Doubletree announced it was reviewing its protocols and trainings and had launched an investigation. We have a zero-tolerance stance on discrimination of any kind, it said in a statement.
I plan to try to seek justice and make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else.
Now, Massey's attorney said in a statement his client was publicly humiliated and now wants the hotel to publicly answer to 2 questions. Why was he approached by security and interrogated? And why was he called a threat to the safety and security of guests? And guys, I got to point out, this actually happened to me about 2 weeks ago at an unnamed hotel. There was a security guard who came up to me and said, "Hey, what's your room number?" And I gave him that look. And he said, oh, it's just for security reasons. And then there was a white couple on the side of me, and thankfully she spoke up. The lady did, and she said, well, you didn't ask for my room number.
Good for
I gave
her.
her this look like, okay.
Good for her.
What? You know, but that's what it will take. It's going to take us working together, regardless of your race, your sex, your religion, speaking out. And of course, there are two sides to every story, so we don't know both sides, but it happens.
We don't know exactly what happened here, but newsflash, people of color stay at hotels, they live in apartment buildings, and they go to Starbucks.
And they barbecue.
Yes, they do.
And sell lemonade sometimes. Probably pretty tasty. DeMarco, thank you. Good to see you again this morning.
Good to see you as well.
A black guest ousted from DoubleTree Hotel sues for $10 million. But to change the article now, it says man sues Hilton Hotel chain for $15 million over call to police. Story was done October 11th, 2019, coming from news.com, and this is how it reads. A man is suing the Hilton Hotel chain for $14.8 million after he was booted from a DoubleTree hotel in Oregon for loitering, even though he was actually staying at the hotel. Jermaine Massey, 35, is accusing DoubleTree employees of racial profiling after a December 2018 incident in Portland in which he was told he was trespassing in the lobby. Despite having booked a room in the hotel, Fox News reported, Mr. Massey from Washington had just finished talking to his mother on the phone when he was approached by employees of the DoubleTree, a franchise of the Hilton Hotel brand. The 35-year-old reportedly complied with instructions from police when they arrived. He was then escorted to his room to retrieve his belongings and booked another room at a Sheraton, Oregon Live reported. Mr. Massey's lawyer says he was kicked out for calling his mother while black. Mr. Massey filmed a portion of the altercation with the hotel staff, which went viral in the following days on social media, but the original post has since been removed. In the footage, two employees of the DoubleTree could be seen telling Mr. Massey that police were coming to escort him off the property, despite Mr. Massey's explaining that he was a paying guest. Lawyers for Mr. Massey claim the hotel, Hilton, chain has failed to institute policies or mandate training that would prevent racial profiling. Mr. Massey hopes to learn what policies of Hilton have led to these events, what Hilton has done in response to such events, and will ask the jury to punish Hilton as an example to other hotels who may be attempted to encourage or tolerate discrimination at their places of businesses, said Jason Kafori, a lawyer for Mr. Massey, in a statement shared with Oregon Live. The man's lawsuit seeks $10 million, $14.8 million of frustration, humiliation, and feeling of racial stigmatization and damages. His lawyers say they can also point to 3 other incidents in which Hilton hotels have racially profiled guests in 2018 alone. When contacted for comment, Hilton said the chain has zero tolerance for racism and is committed to providing a welcome environment for all guests. As a demonstration of our inclusive culture, Our corporate employees and Hilton Management Hotels have completed diversity and unconscious bias training. Following the incident in December 2018, Hilton accelerated scheduled training for all franchise properties globally and worked with the DoubleTree by Hilton Portland, Oregon, an independently owned and operated property to ensure their employees have completed the diversity and unconscious bias training. Hilton wrote in a statement shared with Fox News. We also understand the property has updated their procedures and encourage or engage their own experts to guide engagement with local community groups. In late December 2018, the DoubleTree Hotel in Portland confirmed the termination of 2 employees, a security guard, and a manager who were involved in the incident. The article originally appeared on Fox News and was reproduced with permission. All right. So that's what we have here. We have a man here who had tried to stay in the DoubleTree Hotel. His name is Jermaine Macy, who was 35 years old. Came in, I think it was for a concert originally. And somehow he was in the lobby. Accordingly, went into a little secluded part of the hotel. Security seen him. Questioned him, asked him what his room number was, and based on that conversation, he could not think of the room number. Because again, man, now if you stand in a hotel and let's say you say a week or so like that, maybe that would be normal. People would probably be mindful of what hotel room it is, right? I think there's other ways that could have been done. And again, we don't know. Because again, sometimes it could be a unilateral story. Because again, you could just get the video and not get all the ins and outs. But we're just going to take it upon what we've seen. Now, it's incumbent on Hilton to have the other side to it. So we're going to go on with Jermaine Massey's side says, right? So what we see with Jermaine Massey is he's talking with Earl, and Earl asked him, and he's responding. We didn't get the part as him asking, but we did hear Jermaine Massey say this point. He said, well, here you are. I'm over here having a conversation, talk to who I'm talking to. There's other people here. You don't seem to be having any issues with these people here. So based on that, I told you I don't know my room number. Now you're going to call the police on me. I am staying in he said my hotel. I don't know why he said that, but in my hotel. He said, and so he said, yeah, but then Earl says, not anymore. See? He told on himself. Not anymore. Now, if you knew that somehow that maybe he is now a guest there, because again, the second person comes over there, which is somebody at the front desk. Could that be easy? What's your name, sir? And let me go and come back and let's rectify the situation. That ain't it. That wasn't it. Again, we talked about earlier when we talked about the Judge John Constanates. Some people with a little bit of power, a lot of people got a little power, got a little job, you know what I'm saying? A park ranger cop, a forest preserve cop has only got authority and jurisdiction if you in the forest preserve. Outside that, you see him in the street and you're just driving, he can't do nothing, even though he got lights on his car, got insignia, he got a badge on, he ain't got no power there. But if you in his jurisdiction, now he can mess with you, right? So that's how Earl was. Earl was like, all right, I got me one, y'all. I got me a fish. I might caught me one. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I guess maybe silently said that the good old boy network is the bag you won, right? So you got to have one. You got to be able to come in when we had these parties and have this kind of conversation. What you got on the table, Earl? What you done did, right? Right? So, okay. And I had this guy who was at the hotel one time and, I got him arrested and the kind of thing. Yeah, okay. And then whatever happens goes wrong and the police kill him. Now you get to bag him too, right? So anyway, right? But he told on himself. He said that he recognized it. Well, not anymore. Well, if you now, are you saying that with having some little knowledge and knowing the fact that maybe he is, and you gonna say, well, we're gonna get all that. We're gonna stick to what I'm talking about. Now, if you recognize that he a guest, then why don't you just say, I apologize. I'm just doing my job. See to show the malice and the spirit in your own heart. And so see a lot of times, that's why the creator put this all-seeing eye now, right? This is kind of a defense mechanism, right? With this camera, and that's why sometimes people they be trying not to have you being videotaped, because see that videotape come back to play. It's kind of like a time machine. Take me right back to the moment when all this was taking place, live and direct. Here's what happened. Nobody can now, it's my word, or what we said is what happened. It's been recorded, right? So that's how it is, right? And so my man decided to say it again. He's going to now sue the hotel for the embarrassment, the inconvenience, and just for the simple fact of just the racial discrimination in itself, the profiling, right? Again, we in 2019 again, people keep talking about something again, how this country has changed. And again, I'm pretty sure from 1619 and now there's the actual physicalness to do the subliminal to the things that is still being done is through legislation and all kind of other hidden ways that people do it. And so when these situations happen, then it's only covered that again, your remedy has to be to douse some of this fire that these people have been having. Again, it's been working to some extent, because again, that's why shows like Black Minds News are going to keep showing this. And there's people out here who be offended, because I don't know why you're offended when you're doing this, right? So what we both do is not say nothing. No, because you only going to flash it. But this show is dedicated to this. So anyway, again, we still probably going to get some more of this, because again, he's just now announcing that he wants the 14, he wants 10 million. Then I think he got damages of 4.8. So, trying to get about $15 million out of it against the Hilton. And they got some money, right? What kind of defense is going to be there? He can prove that he was there. As long as he can prove that he was a guest there, and police being called, there's a record of the police being called, and what was the situation about? Okay, that's a slam dunk. He won that case. In my book, he done already won that case. It's just a matter of time of how it was going to end up at the end. Matter of fact, I even know a person specifically who this happened in the same, I ain't going to say the same hotel. I don't know if it was the same hotel. But I know the same thing, and I was talking to him. He was telling me about the whole situation. Had been there for periods of time. He had been there for weeks, and got tired of just seeing this black person up in this establishment. And we're not going to take the money. You're just going to get up out of here. Like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? And did the whole thing. And I told him the same thing what to do. Well, hopefully, if you should happen to hear this story here, you better remind yourself, I'll probably be doing a story about you doing this before him. But anyway, that's just what it is. And again, you tell me what you think again, Mr. Jermaine Massey, in that situation. And again, that's what it is, man. You got to do what we got to do at times again, right? That's just what it is. They charge it to the game. So, what we had on this part of the show? Let me see if anybody, I still got one person out here. One person hanging out with me. I got one person hanging with me, right? All right, so what else I'm going to do? I guess I'm going to do that because we're at 1 hour 17. I don't want to make it too long. I'm going to come back and do a second show later today. And so, that's just what it is, y'all. I mean, things happening seem to be slanted at times. I'm not saying that it does. These stories don't happen with other people. But again, they have media. They have outlets. Again, that's what Byron Allen is trying to do, is set up to have somebody cut from the cloth to be able to have channels on programs, a program from our perspective and our view and the way we see it. But people say, no, not on our network. We gonna control that. So if you want to do that, you better do your own. So that's why I'm the most hated show, because again, I do that. And so they're gonna make sure no one hears me. Ain't that right, y'all? It's probably y'all sitting up in here, right? It's probably y'all sitting up in here, sitting there listening to me, trying to figure out how we gonna get this off the damn air. That's what we're trying to figure out, how we're gonna get him off, right? I'm playing within the rules of the game, and everybody else doing it. Why I can't do it too, right? Right? Because it's not exposing nobody. It is general public information. It ain't like nobody don't know what this is. Everybody know this. Sometimes some people that don't want you to say nothing about it, just take it, like you say, just take it and learn to like it. So anyway, I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this has been another Black Minds News Report. Go ahead and let's do this right, all right? Let's go and get it right. And let's see. Cue it up, please. Go ahead. Can you hit that music for me, sir? Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. I want to thank each and every one of you who was out here participating and at least listening. Thank you for your participation. Again, when you see one another, what's good, brother? What's good, sister? If you can't do that much, just at least give a universal nod. You know, we're going to have to learn to take all this hate, jealousy, and envy and spite from out of us and understand that we is all we got. Understand the uniform and the team that you're on. Yes, there's some players on your team that's going to have allies. You just got to get them to ask them allies a couple questions. One, when and if it get hot, are you still going to be down and be in the frying pan with me? Two, ask them, has they ever heard of John Brown? Is that some white folks just told us, or was John Brown real? I think John Brown is so real to the fact they had to make him seem he was something wrong and crazy. That he would go out with his, privileged whiteness, trying to be on the behalf of other people that we have deemed to be out of the loop, not part of the system, right? So those two questions you gotta ask, right? Know that we're laying in the day and time that there are some who seek for our demise. So it is incumbent that we, BADOS, ADOS, we have to stay vigilant, mindful, cautious, and high spirit. Again, this is the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds. I want to say peace and love to you. And to the next show. To the next show.
you